How does the average Japanese garden keep its pond water clear as glass, season after season, without anyone ever tipping a bucket of chlorine shock into it? Meanwhile, you have spent half the summer hauling home bag after bag of shock, algicide, and clarifier, and the water is still cloudy. You have skipped afternoons in your own pool because you could not see the bottom of the shallow end. You have stood at the edge with a test strip in one hand and your phone in the other, adding a scoop of this and a splash of that, and somehow made it worse. There is a better way, and it does not come from the pool store. It comes from a way of thinking about water that gardeners in Japan have practiced for hundreds of years. They have a word for the thing you are chasing, MIZUKAGAMI. It means water mirror, a pond surface so still and so clear it reflects the sky like glass. And here is what matters for you. They reach it not by attacking the water with chemicals, but by keeping it moving, keeping it filtered, and tending it a little every day so it never gets the chance to cloud. By the end of this, you will know how to clear the pool you have right now, this week, in about a day, and how to keep it clear so you are not fighting it again next month. Stick with me. Before we go on, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We love seeing how far this story travels. And if you're loving it so far, join the family by hitting subscribe, because tomorrow we've got something special lined up just for you. If your water has gone milky white, taken a dull green tint, or turned that flat gray where the drain in the deep end has vanished, this is for you. And it is not only about how it looks. You cannot see a child in cloudy water. That is the real reason clarity is not something to shrug off. So we will fix it properly, without a shock, and keep it fixed. Cloudy water is almost always one of three things, often two at once. It is out of balance chemistry, where minerals have fallen out of solution and hang there as a fine haze. It is tiny suspended particles, dust, pollen, sunscreen, dead algae, too small for your filter to catch. Or it is the start of an algae bloom before it has gone properly green. The fix has three moves: balance the water, drop the particles, then filter, in that order. Start with a test, not a guess. A simple drop kit gives you the three numbers that decide everything: pH, total alkalinity, and calcium hardness. If your pH has drifted above about 7.8, that alone clouds the water, because high pH pushes calcium out of solution and it turns milky. The sweet spot is 7.2 to 7.6, brought down gently with a little muriatic acid or dry acid, added slowly to a running pump, never poured into still water. If your alkalinity tests low, under about 80, that is where the cheap household powder earns its place. Plain baking soda, the box from your fridge, is the standard way to raise it, a pound or two at a time until you are back in the 80 to 120 range, but only add it if the test says alkalinity is low. Hold that, because it is exactly where most people go wrong. Once the water is balanced, you deal with the haze, and this is the part that clears a pool in a day. One cheap product, not four. If you have a sand or DE filter with a multi-port valve, use a flocculant. It is aluminium sulfate, and it pulls the tiny suspended particles together into clumps heavy enough to sink. Add it, run the pump 30 minutes to spread it, then switch the pump off and walk away overnight. By morning, everything that was clouding your water is lying on the pool floor as a gray layer of sediment. Set the filter valve to waste and vacuum that sediment slowly off the bottom, sending it out of the pool rather than through the filter, because the flock is too fine to catch and would only cloud the water again. Top the water back up. That is a milky pool cleared, floor to surface, in about 18 hours. If you have a cartridge filter, you cannot vacuum to waste as easily, so use a clarifier instead. Same idea, gentler. It clumps the particles just enough for the filter to grab them while you run the pump around the clock for a day or two. Slower, but no draining. And through all of it, the filter runs. This is the part everyone skips. The flocculant is not doing the work on its own. The water moving through your filter is. If your pump runs only a few hours a day, that is a big reason the pool clouded in the first place, and no product will outrun a filter that is switched off. Once you understand what cloudy water is, the thing everyone reaches for is the wrong tool. Chlorine is a sanitizer. It kills living things and burns off swimmer waste, but has almost nothing to do with clarity. Dump a shock into a cloudy pool, and you're treating a balance and filtration problem with a disinfectant. Even when the cloud is early algae and the shock kills it, you're left with dead algae still suspended, often grayer than before. People panic and add more. I've watched someone do this 3 times in a weekend and finish with water the color of dishwater. Worse, most shock is calcium hypochlorite, which raises calcium hardness with every dose, and high calcium is itself one of the things that clouds a pool. The tool you reach for to clear the cloud is, over a season, one of the things building it. Then there's the baking soda myth. The internet loves to tell you that if your pool is cloudy, just throw in a box of baking soda. Sometimes it helps. Often it makes things worse, because baking soda raises alkalinity, and if your water was already high, more of it drives even more calcium out of solution. It's a real tool for one job, raising low alkalinity when a test tells you to, not a clarity potion you tip in blind. The pool store will happily sell you the opposite problem: 4 bottles for 1 cloudy sample, shock and algicide and clarifier and phosphate remover on a weekly schedule, when a balanced, filtered pool, cleared with a single flocculant, needs none of it. Test first, fix the cause once, and the answer is never a 5th bottle. I want to be honest about how I learned this, because I did not start out knowing any of it. For 2 summers I ran my pool the way the counter told me to, a cup of shock every week whether it needed it or not, algicide when it looked off, clarifier on standby. I spent more on chemicals than the pool cost to run, and the water was never quite right, just a permanent faint haze I had decided was normal. The turning point was embarrassing. My filter had been running 4 hours a day for 2 years, and I had never questioned it. I set it to 12 hours, changed nothing else, and within 3 days, the haze I had chemically fought for 2 summers simply went. I had been buying bottles to solve a problem the pump would have solved for free. Now, straight talk about what one day will and will not do. If your water is hazy or milky from balance and fine particles, this method clears it in about a day and you are done. If your pool has gone fully darkly green with slime on the walls, that is a living colony and it needs more. Brush the walls hard, balance the water, and yes, in that one case a stronger dose of sanitizer has a role, followed by the flocculant to drop the dead algae and a vacuum to waste. Even then, most of the clearing is the filter and the flock, not the shock. And if your water clears then clouds again within days no matter what you do, one treatment was never going to fix it, because the problem is not in the water at all. Here is the part that earns the word Japanese, and turns this from a rescue into something you never do again. Clearing the water is reactive. Keeping it clear is the real win, and it is almost no work once you see it. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel, it means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Think again about a garden pond. Nobody clears one with a bucket of chemicals on a Saturday. It stays clear because the water is always gently moving, always filtered, and because the keeper tends it a little every single day. That daily attention comes down to 2 small habits and 1 number. The habits take 90 seconds each. Every morning, run the skimmer net across the surface and lift out leaves and pollen before they sink, because anything that sinks and rots is future cloud and algae food. Then, a few times a week, brush the walls and steps, especially the shaded corners where algae starts, and knock it loose before it takes hold. The 1 number is turnover. Your water needs to pass through the filter at least once a day, and in summer heat more, which for most pools means the pump running at least 8 hours a day, and in the hottest weeks closer to 10 or 12. Moving filtered water does not cloud, still water does. If you take one thing from all of this, take that. The pump is not what you run when there is a problem. It is what keeps the problem from arriving. Around those daily habits sits a seasonal rhythm, the same one the Japanese call osoji, the big clean at the turn of the season. Twice a year you go deeper. When you open the pool, clean the filter properly, and balance the water from scratch. When you close it, do the same, so nothing organic sits in the water through the cold months. There is a timing wisdom too, and most people get it backwards. Add chemicals in the evening, at dusk, with the pump running, and let the water circulate overnight, because sunlight burns off chlorine fast, so anything added in the middle of a hot afternoon is half gone before it works. And when you add acid, add it slowly to a running pump, and never mix it with anything. Never pour it near chlorine, because that combination gives off a gas that will put you in hospital. 1 chemical at a time, into moving water, after the sun is down. Now a word for the pool where nothing works. You balanced it, ran the pump, cleared it, and within a week it is hazy again. If that is you, the water is not the problem. The filter is. 9 times out of 10, a pool that will not stay clear has a filter that has stopped doing its job. Sand gone smooth after 10 years, a cartridge worn too soft to catch fine particles, a filter undersized from the day it went in, or a dead spot where the jets never really move the water. Find which one it is, fix the filter and the circulation, and the water stays clear on its own. Because clear water is not something you add to a pool. It is what a properly filtered, properly moving pool does by itself. Let me put numbers on it, because the gap is not small. A box of baking soda is a couple of dollars, acid about 10, a bag of flocculant 10 to 20 for a dose that clears the whole pool. A good brush and pole is a one-time $30 or $40, and a proper test kit around 30 and lasts seasons. Keeping your pool clear for a season comes to well under $100, most of it one time. The other way, the 4-bottle regimen runs 30 to 50 every time the water goes off. A pool service is 100 to 200 a month, and an emergency green to clean call-out is 200 to 400 a visit. I worked out one summer that I had spent more on chemicals I did not need than a full season of running the pump 12 hours a day would cost in electricity. The expensive way was not just expensive, it was the reason the water kept going off. And there is the part that never shows up on a receipt. When the water is clear and balanced, the kids go in the moment it is warm enough, no waiting for a shock to burn off. You open your eyes underwater without them stinging red. You look out the kitchen window, see the bottom of the deep end, and know at a glance it is safe to swim. The pool goes back to being water you sit beside with a cold drink. Here is the routine, and you can start it this week. Balance the water, then clear it. A flocculant and a vacuum to waste in the morning, or a clarifier, run around the clock, depending on your filter. Do it once, properly, so you see what clear looks like. After that, it is small and steady. Skim for 90 seconds each morning, brush the walls a few times a week, run the pump at least 8 hours a day, dose at dusk into a running pump, and clean the filter twice a year. No weekly shock, no 4 bottles, no green surprise in July. The deeper lesson here, the one the Japanese have been teaching for centuries, is not really about pools or flocculant or which filter you own. It is about how you treat water, and how you treat the things in your life that need keeping. The Western instinct, when the water goes cloudy, is to wait until it is undeniable and then hit it with the strongest chemical on the shelf. The Japanese instinct is to keep the water moving and tended so it never clouds at all. One is a battle you fight every few weeks and slowly lose. The other is a rhythm so light you barely notice it. The hardest pool to clear is the one you ignored for a month. The easiest is the one you kept an eye on. Your pool is not a problem you solve with a shock treatment once and for all. It is water you keep. Let me know down in the comments what color your water is right now, and whether you are going to try the balance, drop, and filter method this weekend instead of reaching for the shock. I'd love to hear how it goes. That's the story, for now. If you found it worth your time, subscribing and hitting the bell costs you nothing and helps more than you'd think. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.